She said it so casually, like she was tossing away a piece of paper that didn't matter. Stop checking my phone if you can't trust me. Maybe we shouldn't be together. Her tone was tired, almost rehearsed, and the way her eyes didn't even meet mine made the words sting more than the sentence itself. I forced a calm smile, swallowing down the ache that pushed up my throat. "You're right, I won't," I replied. My voice was steady, almost too steady, like I had practiced this response 100 times. And in a way, I had. Because this wasn't the first time she had accused me of mistrust. And it wasn't the first time I'd felt the uneasy itch that something between us wasn't right. But this was different. This time, instead of defending myself, instead of pleading for honesty, I just let it drop. That night, while she slept soundly beside me, her breathing slow and innocent like someone with nothing to hide, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My chest felt heavy, my heart unsteady, and yet my mind was strangely clear. I wasn't going to keep snooping through her phone. No, that wasn't enough. I was going to know the truth in a way she couldn't erase, couldn't manipulate, couldn't delete with a single swipe. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I slid the tiny tracker from my drawer device I had bought weeks ago but never had the courage to use. It was no bigger than a car key, black and sleek, silent. My fingers trembled as I held it. This wasn't who I wanted to be. I didn't want to be the kind of man who spied, who distrusted, who schemed in shadows. But then again, I didn't want to be the fool either. By the time she came out of the bathroom, wrapped in her towel, humming like she had no care in the world, the tracker was already hidden in her car. That evening, she kissed my cheek and told me she was going to meet her friend for a late coffee. I nodded, told her to have fun, and even managed a smile. Then I watched her taillights fade into the night as my phone lit up with her location. At first, it was harmless. She stopped at a gas station. She lingered near a shopping mall. Then her car drifted across town, closer and closer to a neighborhood I knew too well. My stomach tightened when the dot on my screen finally stopped outside a familiar driveway, my best friend's house. I froze. For a moment, I convinced myself it had to be a coincidence. Maybe she was visiting someone else nearby. Maybe she was dropping something off. Maybe there was an explanation that didn't crush my chest. But then the tracker didn't move. 10 minutes passed, 20, 30, midnight came, and the car was still there. That night, I didn't sleep. My phone stayed in my hand, the screen glowing against the dark as if mocking me. Every passing second was a dagger, carving deeper into a wound I couldn't close. I wanted to drive there, to storm the house, to demand the truth from both of them. But I didn't. Something inside me told me that confrontation wasn't enough. I didn't want an argument. I wanted something she could never forget. The next day, the sun felt cruel. She returned home in the morning, her hair a little messy, her smile a little too sweet. She kissed me lightly, as though nothing had happened, as though she hadn't been somewhere else all night. I pretended not to notice, pretended everything was fine. And in that pretense, I found a dangerous kind of calm, because I knew what I was going to do. My best friend's birthday was 2 days away. The whole group was invited, including her. But instead of showing up with her on my arm, I reached out to someone else, his ex. A woman he had left behind with the same careless arrogance that now mirrored in my girlfriend's late-night trips. She was hesitant at first, suspicious of my sudden interest, but I was persuasive. I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for spectacle. for a strike that would shake them both the night of the party. I slipped into a crisp shirt, adjusted my collar, and walked in with her hand clasped tightly in mine. Gasps whispered across the room as heads turned, and I felt every eye latch onto us. My best friend's smile froze. My girlfriend's drink halted halfway to her lips. And I smiled like I was finally free. We laughed. We mingled. We posed for photos. And when those photos hit Instagram hours later, the storm began. My phone lit up with her name again and again first, a text, then another, then a flood. By the fifth missed call, I stopped counting. Her words ranged from anger to desperation, from how could you, to we need to talk. And with every notification, a strange satisfaction bloomed inside me. She had asked me not to check her phone, and I didn't. Instead, I checked her truth. And now, she was the one chasing answers she would never get that night. Lying in bed alone, the silence felt different. Not heavy, not crushing, but liberating. For the first time in months, I could breathe without wondering what secrets lingered behind her smile. But even as I closed my eyes, I knew this was only the beginning. Because revenge, once started, doesn't always end where you think it will. The calls didn't stop. By morning, my phone was a graveyard of unanswered texts, missed calls, and voice messages, each more frantic than the last. At first, her tone was sharp, laced with outrage. What the hell was that? Then it softened, shifting to guilt and plea. Can we just talk? Please, don't do this like this. Finally, it descended into silence and eerie quiet I had learned to fear. I didn't respond. I wanted her to feel the weight of my absence, the way I had felt hers when she parked her car outside my best friend's house. I wanted her to know that silence, too, can scream louder than words. But as much as I tried to focus on her unraveling, a bigger storm brewed inside me. My best friend, the man who had once sworn loyalty, who had been at my side through every heartbreak, every reckless night, every stupid mistake, him, the idea of him laughing with her, touching her, taking what wasn't his ate at me like acid. I couldn't stop replaying the tracker map in my mind. Her car parked there, still unmoving. The betrayal wasn't just hers, it was his too. That thought made my jaw clench until it hurt at the party. When I'd walked in with his ex on my arm, his face had faltered for just a second. A flicker of recognition, of discomfort. But then he had buried it, slapping on a smile, pouring drinks, and pretending everything was normal. That pretense's ability to hide was almost worse than her lies. The days that followed blurred. I kept my routine, but every moment was soaked in tension. She kept trying to reach me, leaving little notes at my door, sending pictures of us from happier days, begging for just one conversation. I ignored them all. I couldn't give her the closure she wanted. Closure was too kind. Then came the moment I wasn't expecting. My best friend reached out. A text, short, sharp. We need to talk. I stared at it for a long time, my pulse quickening. He hadn't said about what. He didn't need to. We both knew. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Maybe a part of me still wanted to hear him admit it. To confess, to crumble, to give me the validation that my pain wasn't just paranoia. We met at a quiet bar, the kind of place no one we knew would stumble into. He looked the same as always, confident, composed, but his eyes carried something else. Guilt, maybe, or arrogance. I wasn't sure. We sat across from each other. The silence between us heavier than the whiskey glasses on the table. "I don't know what game you're playing," he started, his tone clipped, but bringing her my ex like that. "At my party, what are you trying to prove?" I almost laughed. "What I'm trying to prove." The irony was suffocating. "I should be asking you that," I shot back. "Why was she at your house, night after night? Why was her car parked outside until morning?" For the first time, his expression cracked. He blinked, lips parting slightly, and then he leaned back in his chair. "You tracked her." The way he said it, like I was the villain, made my blood boil. "Don't turn this on me," I snapped. "You know exactly what you did." His silence was confirmation enough. He didn't deny it, didn't even try, and that silence hurt more than any excuse ever could. I stood, tossing back the rest of my drink in a bitter burn, and left him sitting there. I didn't need his words anymore. His face had told me everything. That night, when she showed up at my apartment again, pounding on the door until the neighbors peeked out, I finally opened it. She stood there, her mascara streaked, her voice breaking. "Please," she whispered, "just hear me out." I crossed my arms, blocking the doorway. "Say it then. Say what you've been doing at his house." Her lips trembled. She looked down, then back at me, and the hesitation was louder than any confession. "You don't understand," she muttered. "No," I cut her off. "I understand perfectly," and I shut the door in her face. Her sobs echoed in the hallway long after she left. But I didn't chase her. I couldn't, because in that moment, something inside me shifted. The pain was still there, but beneath it, a darker resolve was forming. I wasn't going to let this end with me broken. No, if they wanted to play with fire, I was going to be the one holding the match. The next week became a blur of preparation. Every message I ignored, every call I declined, every sleepless night, it all fueled the plan taking shape in my mind. Revenge wasn't about anger anymore. It was about control, about flipping the script, about making them feel the way they had made me feel, powerless, exposed, humiliated. And as I stood in front of the mirror one night, rehearsing the mask of a smile I would wear, I realized something chilling. This wasn't about her anymore, or even about him. This was about me. The night of my decision arrived like a storm I had summoned myself. It wasn't about chance anymore, it was deliberate, precise, inevitable. I had mapped out every step, every word, every gesture, and when the pieces fell into place, there would be no mistaking who had orchestrated the collapse. I waited until the weekend, when the city pulsed with nightlife and no one could hide in silence. My best friend was hosting another gathering smaller than the birthday party, but enough to draw the same circle of familiar faces. She would be there too. I knew she couldn't resist, not when he was involved. Before heading out, I stood in front of the mirror again, buttoning a dark blazer, smoothing the sleeves. My reflection didn't look like me anymore. My eyes were colder, sharper, like someone who had stepped past the edge of doubt and into something darker. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was ready. The plan was simple. I wasn't going to shout or expose them in some cheap, dramatic confrontation. That would give them power. No, my revenge would be quieter, subtler, but it would cut deeper than any public argument ever could. I walked into the apartment with calm confidence, ignoring the sudden hush that swept through the room as I entered. She was there, standing by the window, her glass trembling slightly in her hand when she saw me, and next to her him, his arm close enough to hers to tell a story without a single word. I smiled, not at them, but at the girl on my arm. Not his ex this time, someone new, someone who had nothing to do with their betrayal, but who was willing to play a part for me. She laughed at my whispered jokes, touched my arm lightly, leaned in just enough to make the room watch. Every move was deliberate, every smile sharpened into a blade. My best friend's jaw tightened. He tried to mask it, to carry on his conversations, but I could see the cracks forming. She, on the other hand, looked like she might shatter completely. Her eyes darted between me and the girl I had brought, wide with disbelief, fear, and something else, jealousy. That jealousy was the knife I twisted slowly. The night went on, drinks flowing, music buzzing. I stayed calm, collected, weaving through the party with ease. She tried to corner me once, her voice low, urgent. "Please, can we talk? Just for 5 minutes." I shook my head with a polite smile. "I don't think we have anything left to say." The dismissal hit her harder than I expected. Her eyes glassed over, her lips parting like she wanted to argue, but no words came. She backed away, her hands trembling. My best friend tried next. He caught me near the kitchen, his face tight with irritation. "Enough of this," he hissed. "You're making a scene." I leaned in closer, my voice steady. "No, you made the scene the night you opened your door to her. I'm just playing my part." His composure cracked for the first time. His eyes darkened, his fists clenched, and for a moment I thought he might swing at me. But he didn't, because deep down, he knew I wasn't bluffing. He knew I held the power now. Later that night, as photos once again began to flood social media, me laughing with someone new, her watching from the corner, him trying and failing to look unbothered, the messages started again. Her texts this time weren't angry. They were desperate. "I made a mistake. Please don't give up on us. We can fix this, I swear." Each one was a reminder of how the tables had turned. She was the one chasing, the one drowning in silence, and I was finally free from the weight of needing her. Validation, but here's the thing no one tells you about revenge. It doesn't heal you. It doesn't stitch the wounds or erase the memories. It just leaves you standing in the wreckage, holding pieces of a life you no longer recognize. When I got home that night, I sat in the quiet darkness of my apartment. The satisfaction was there, yes, but so was something else. A hollowness, a realization that I had burned the bridge so thoroughly that nothing could ever cross it again. I thought about the tracker in her car, the countless hours I'd spent watching dots on a map, the sleepless nights, the anger that had consumed me. And I asked myself, was it worth it? The answer came slowly, but it was clear. Yes, it was worth it. Not because I still loved her, or because I wanted her back, but because I had taken control of the narrative. I had refused to let them write the ending for me now. The ending was mine. She would always remember the night she lost me, not with a fight, not with an apology, but with silence, with the sight of me moving on while she was left behind. And as for him, my best friend in name only, he would carry the sting of betrayal turned back on him, knowing I had struck where it hurt most his pride. I poured myself a drink, staring at the city lights flickering outside my window. My phone buzzed again, her name flashing across the screen. I let it ring, untouched, until it faded into silence. For the first time in months, I didn't need to know where she was or who she was with. I didn't care. The story was over. And this time, I was the one who closed the book.